Welcome in, S0ner Sports Radio, baby. We are here bringing it to ya hot and ready on a Be Happy Friday. We're recapping weeks 3 and 4. We're setting you up for week 5. Mike Gundy, canned, baby. Mateer surgery, successful. Why Dr. Shinsanity is taking over Twitter. NFL contenders. We'll tell you what we're looking at as the NFL continues to go along with the college football season, and back to the S0ner Sports Radio Sportsbook, baby, where I am in trouble, and Zach is keeping the boat level. He's keeping it level, and he's got a new top 25. I'm ready to hear it. Zach, how are we doing on this Be Happy Friday?
Oklahoma bye week. I guess John Mateer's surgery couldn't come at a better time, but we're obviously panicking about Red River. That's only in, that is 2 weeks from this Saturday. It's possible Mateer plays, but I don't know, and I'm really worried about it. Do we rally around Michael Hawkins here? I don't know. We'll have to see how he looks against Kent State. That's not really great competition. I think there's a lot of questions going into Red River. I'm a mess.
Yeah, we're all a mess right now as we get this week started. I'm going to be a mess here in about less than 23 hours from now. I will be biting my nails and hoping we can eke out a victory against the Nittany Lions of Penn State. So my Ducks heading into the fray, as they would say, against the Nittany Lions. Look, let's go ahead and just kind of recap weeks 3 and 4 real quick. We'll just kind of give you the highlights of kind of how this has all been breaking down here. Week 4, most recent week, we'll take a look at that. Big time stuff for Oklahoma, getting the win over Auburn. Jackson Arnold comes back to Norman, can't get the job done. The defense stepping up in the end, and Jackson Arnold doing what we feared. I say we feared, but I mean Auburn fans' worst nightmares, holding on to the football too long. Hugh Freeze, we obviously saw him get onto him in practice for that, and it came back to bite them late. What was your takeaway from OU's SEC victory, the first one of the season, over in my opinion, a pretty decent Auburn team?
I was pretty upset because the offenses really couldn't get going. But now knowing that John Mateer was hurt and had a broken hand for 3 quarters, also had a sprained knee, I believe, for 3 quarters of that game, kind of explains a little bit why the offense, stuttered a lot, especially after that first quarter. So not much to take away for me. I think the defense played well. Obviously, there were some officiating concerns with the game, and Auburn fans are still pretty upset about it. If you're active on Twitter or anything, they are very upset about it. Hugh Freeze is, I'm not going to say he doesn't have a little bit of justification. Very upset about it. The calls that were made. Most people are concerned about the trick play not being called for an unsportsmanlike conduct. They think that was a apparent substitution that was supposed to be deceptive. And now that I've said all the cordial shit, count to 11, motherfucker. What are you doing? You're an SEC football team. You're supposed to be one of the best teams in the country. Auburn, not really one of those decorated. They're pretty good, history in college football. Count to 11. Isaiah Satenda walked to the sideline, looked at the ref, pointed at him, did a thumbs up. Ref did a thumbs up back. No one came onto the field. He never stepped off of the field. He just went further out than usual. I don't know. That's just me. Count to 11. Your take?
Yeah, look, I even if it was supposed to be deceptive, why isn't somebody on him? That's not really OU's problem. That's the defense not lining up. Hello, find your man. I don't know if I don't think it was And if it was deceptive, I mean, use the rules to your advantage. If they didn't catch you, they didn't catch you. I mean, it happens. It didn't decide the outcome of this football game. That's what
Yeah.
that's the one thing you
No,
got.
that's
That's
the
the one.
thing.
That's
That
the
was a
thing.
play. That was a play with 11 minutes left in the second quarter. Um, More importantly, I want OU, specifically Ben Arbuckle, according to sources, Toby Rowland reporting for, ABC News 9. So not like this is some beat writer really, reporting that Ben Arbuckle and the OU staff reached out to the officiating office before the game, like a couple days, like during practices before the game, right before the game, talking to the officials on the field about that play that they plan to do. And then the SEC officiating office comes out and says that that should have been an unsportsmanlike, um, conduct. And I'm kind of confused as to what went on then in those meetings if they did not give OU the go ahead for that play, saying that it was legal. They sought confirmation that it was legal. According to sources, they got confirmation that it was legal. I don't understand what the SEC officiating office puts out with that statement saying that it should have been called. I don't I don't think that's a good look, especially on, your own refs. Um, I don't know. That's a really bad look, and I can see why Auburn fans are upset. Given that they put out that statement saying it shouldn't have been a touchdown. Now, does that decide the game? I mean, we win by 7, sure, but we're probably getting a touchdown on that drive. Um, I mean, it was second down,
Well,
so it would have
I
been
mean,
third
look,
down, but
look.
we were still pretty close. So, like, I wouldn't be concerned about it.
I mean, well, I mean, you could say that about the drive, where Mateer fumbled the football looked pretty good until that moment. I mean, so that another thing like that could have happened too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll never know. We'll never know. It's one of those things we'll never know. But you have to live with the result, and you have to look at it as if there was some sort of miscommunication where Ben Arbuckle and the coaching staff described it in a way that got lost in translation with the SEC officiating office. I can see that happening. But I feel like if what they said they were going to do and what happened is so night and day when it comes to what the outcome
Mhm.
of their decision is, I wonder what verbiage was used that made it worse than what it was. But yeah, very interesting there with that. But a big win regardless for OU, and a big win on the back of an injured quarterback who we'll talk about a little bit more after this. Miami, they beat Florida, Zach, 26-7. Florida, the hapless Gators.
Mhm.
And this is after Miami just thrashed USF, which we thought was going to be a pretty decently close game, and it just was not at all. 49-12, the final against the Bulls the previous week. So Miami, it's time to ask you, Zach, is this a for real Miami team? Is this team have a shot to be hoisting the trophy at the end of the year, or is this one of those where reality will set in late and this could be like a second round exit kind of Hurricanes team?
I mean, I have them at number 2. I think they're real deal contenders. I think they're going to win the ACC. So yeah,
Yeah,
they're going to have
yeah.
a first. They're going to have a first round bye.
I would assume as much. I would assume as much. Florida State, Texas, they both blow out their opponents last week. Kent State and Sam Houston, really nothing to talk about there.
Mhm.
Ole Miss, a pretty impressive win, Zach, against Tulane. I mean, I thought Tulane was a pretty decent team, and they get shellacked by Ole Miss. And Ole Miss didn't even have their starting quarterback in for most of that game. So I mean, that's an interesting dynamic, and Chambliss is going to start again this week for them. Um,
Yep.
I mean, does Lane Kiffin just have this awesome quarterback room, or what's the secret to Mississippi not really losing a step against, in my opinion, a pretty good Tulane team?
Well, I think we'll see against LSU this Saturday, if that team is as good as we think they are. Um, but I mean, I don't understand the quarterback room at all. I don't really understand what Lane Kiffin's doing. I honestly haven't been super impressed with Ole Miss. I guess I'm not as high on Tulane as you are. Um, but I mean, they won some tough games against Kentucky and Arkansas. But like, I don't know. I'm not super impressed. I still have them as a top 15 team for sure.
Yeah,
But that's just because there's no reason to not have them there.
yeah,
I'm not super impressed. I don't think they're a contender in the SEC right now. Um, I think they're better than teams like Alabama,
Oh, okay.
but I don't think that they're beating some of the upper echelon teams in the SEC, which right now I think would be like Georgia, LSU, Oklahoma. Um, yeah.
No, I can see that. I mean, I can. I mean, the reason I'm so high on Tulane is just because before they had Ratliff, I didn't think they had a quarterback that could really do anything for them, and they did have a pretty impressive win early on in the season. So I thought that they were a lot better than losing by 35. That's all I'm saying. I didn't think
Mhm.
that Tulane was going to go in there and win on the road, but I didn't think it was going to get this ugly. And to have that happen where the backup quarterback runs for 112 yards and throws for 307 is crazy. I mean, it's just terrible defense. So maybe you're right. Maybe Tulane isn't that good defensively, at least. But I was really surprised with just kind of the ineptitude and the just lack of being able to even score a touchdown until garbage time for the Green Wave just kind of shocked me. Um, Other notable games. I mean, the Texas Tech Utah game was supposed to be a good game. Zach, that was a snooze fest. I
Yeah.
mean, 24 fourth quarter points for Texas Tech will definitely take the wind out of the sails. With that, I mean, and again, another one where you lose your starting quarterback. Morton gets hurt and Hammond comes in. They like Hammond a lot. They think he's the future probably for Texas Tech at the quarterback position, and he came in and looked pretty good. Only 3 incompletions, 2 touchdowns. I mean, I can't really complain about the backup quarterback coming up and playing really well against a defense in Utah that a lot of people were saying might be the best in the Big 12. I mean, where does this put the Big 12 in the grand scheme of things? Are we now supposed to just pay homage to Texas Tech and just be like, here you go, here's the Big 12 championship? Because I don't think I'm ready to say that yet.
I mean, I think I am ready to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's Texas Tech and Iowa State, and I think it's them two and no one else.
I mean, it's fair.
Uh,
I mean,
TCU,
it depends on how they do this week.
they've looked good. They've
Yeah,
looked good though.
they got a big game this week, that's for sure.
I would say it's those three. Those three teams: Tech, Iowa State, ECU.
I mean, you
Those
so
are the three teams
so
I'm
so you
looking
think
at for
so
the
you
Big
think
12.
Utah has no shot at winning out and getting back into the fray here?
Well, not after that.
Yeah, you think it's an exposure job that that got exposed?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what was the score? 34-10.
Yeah, but it was 10-3 heading into the fourth quarter.
Sure, but
I know, but pouring it on the way they did. I mean, granted, it was. I mean, and the turnovers were just ridiculous on both sides. To be honest, no one wanted to hold on to the
a
football in
messy
that game.
game.
It was messy. It wasn't ideal as far as a good watch for me. I mean, it was good. It was one of the first games of the day because it held my attention because the score was close. But it was ugly football for 3.5 quarters. I'm not even gonna debate that. But it just kind of gives me the ick that Texas Tech technically paid for their Big 12 softball championship, and now we could potentially be saying they paid for a Big 12 football championship too. I mean, it's weird to
Eh,
me to have Texas Tech be linked to those facts. Your NIL oil money is
well,
that great?
it is. I mean, out
Yeah,
there in West Texas, that's really where the money is for Texas Tech. I mean,
it's
one
gross.
thing about Texas Tech is they can have all. Oh my God, another turnover for Virginia. Jesus. Um, One thing about Texas Tech is they can have all the money in the world. They just don't have the branding because they haven't really done anything with that money yet. And, I think this was evident in the fact that OU just flipped a Texas Tech commit, a 5-star offensive lineman just like 2 days ago. Bill Bedenbaugh got two 5-star offensive line commits within the span of 3 minutes, like 2 mornings ago. So let's just clap it up for Bill. He's really that guy. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't love that Texas Tech is looking like the best team in the Big 12, but that might just be the state of the Big 12. Um, I think it's not going to be long before it's Power 3.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're 100% right, and this is just another kind of peg to put in there. Um,
Yeah, Oklahoma State, who was supposed to kind of be the team
oh
for the
yeah.
Big 12 after Texas and OU leave, especially considering they played for a Big 12 championship the year before they left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And
exactly.
and then they go fucking 3-9, 0-9 in Big 12 conference play. It's like, what the hell? And now we see what's going on. Mike Gundy's fired, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Sure. Um, I mean, this is just one of those things, man. It's just interesting to think about right now. It's still early on. We don't know what's going to happen, but as of right now, that's kind of where we're at with Big 12. Moving on to the Big 10, pretty entertaining game between Michigan and Nebraska. Michigan gets the win on the road in the waning seconds of this one. I thought it was a pretty good showing for Nebraska. I think it kind of, in my opinion, proves that, along with what you were saying in the preseason, this kind of shows an upward trajectory of kind of where they want the program to be. I think you and I are in agreement that Raiola's coming back, for sure. They're and going to be better probably next season. I think they're probably going to get some more assets in the transfer portal and with their NIL, especially if they kind of keep up this kind of competition with the upper echelon of the Big Ten. At least that's what Michigan still technically is. I don't know if I would really classify them as a really, really good team in the country overall, but as far as what the Big Ten is serving right now, I don't have a problem with grouping them into at least the top half of the conference easily. What was your
Yeah.
takeaway with this? I mean, I know Nebraska lost here, but did you get anything from Michigan winning this? Because I don't really see any upside from Michigan winning this game. I just saw kind of the upside from the Nebraska standpoint. I don't really think this does anything for me if I'm a Michigan fan or looking at Michigan season as a whole here.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's really impressed me out of Michigan. They didn't look good against OU. Um, Against Nebraska, they looked pretty decent, I guess, but I don't know how good Nebraska really was. And honestly, I'm pretty disappointed with Nebraska right now. So I wouldn't like. I think I agree with you that they're in the top half of the Big Ten, but I think they're probably like. Let me look here. I think they're probably like the fifth best team in the Big Ten.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean, there's just some juggernauts in there right now. That's
Yeah,
ugh.
yeah, I hear you.
I mean, I don't know. Are they better than Illinois?
I mean, it's a question. Um,
I mean,
I, I mean,
ass beat, but
I would think so. I want to say yes, especially after what happened to them. We'll talk about that here in a second because it looks like you won't be enlisting
yeah.
anywhere anytime soon. Um, yeah, you look pretty safe on that one. Let's talk about. I just got a couple more to talk about to kind of wrap these last 2 weeks up because most of the games in week 3 were still kind of cupcake games for some of the top 25 teams.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as this last week goes, we got to touch on Missouri and South Carolina. Sellers goes down with the injury. Missouri able to capitalize off of that and get a win. They're undefeated. I mean, look, I'm never going to be sold on Missouri, just kind of how I'm never going to be sold on Texas Tech. At least for right now, I just can't buy in right now to either of those programs, especially Missouri. I can't trust them as far as I can throw them with anything. They're not contenders. They won't be ranked at the end of the season. I'm not worried about them, but I just think that it's just one of those things where Missouri fans can just keep tapping the glass, of other fan bases. It's like shut up, just shut up. You got lucky. If he doesn't get hurt, you lose. I'm comfortable with saying all of those things. Um, what was your takeaway from this? It obviously hurts South Carolina's chances here with doing anything exciting. Um, is that how you kind of feel about this, or what are your opinion on it?
Yeah, no, South Carolina's done, and my preseason prediction about them is fucking cooked. Um, they look way worse than I thought they would. Like, way worse than I thought they would, and um, I don't see anything from Missouri out of this one either. I mean, sure, they're undefeated. They have a good SEC win over South Carolina, but I don't think that they're in the upper echelon of the SEC whatsoever. I think they lose to probably most SEC teams right now. But they have a decent resume.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I guess you got to respect them for the time being. But I think, I don't know what their schedule's looking like soon. I know that they have to play OU at some point this year, and I think that's going to be a good test for their offense for sure to see if that offense can actually produce, or if the South Carolina defense was really just that bad.
yeah. I mean, they got Alabama in 2 weeks. We'll kind of see how Missouri plays at
Yeah.
home against them, and then they have Auburn on the road,
You
followed
gotta
by.
feel like Kalen DeBoer is worried about that.
Yeah, they're kind of going. The next 3 out of the 4 games for Missouri are going to say a lot because they have Alabama, Vandy, and Texas A&M and Auburn, their next 4, and then they've got Mississippi State on the road at OU, and then on the road at the Fayetteville Hogs, baby, the Hogs. So they've got a tough road ahead of them. I would say the good part of their season is probably done, and now it's time for them to really kind of see what they're made of. And South Carolina, losing to Vanderbilt and losing to Missouri in back-to-back weeks, just kind of a shocking development there. I mean, Vanderbilt, great story. We we're Diego Pavia guys in here. We love Diego. Go Diego, go. Go Diego, go. We're here for that. We don't know how legit they are. We're going to learn a lot about them in the next coming weeks. I think they're just kind of a fun team. I think this is a Vanderbilt go bowling team. I don't think this is anything too special, but they're giving them their roses now, and they're ranking them at 18 in the AP. So they're giving them kind of their flowers. Georgia Tech beats Clemson. Clemson 1-2. They're starting to collapse here as the season wanes on. Cade Klubnik looking like poo scat monkey, and everything's just falling apart for the anti-transfer portal Dabo. Praise Jesus Sweeney. Your takeaways from these last couple games from the Tigers?
Once again, my preseason prediction of Clemson is completely cooked. They are absolute ass. And Cade Klubnik is absolutely ass. So,
yeah, not much to take away.
That's pretty much all I got.
Here. Ole Miss, we talked about them a little earlier, but we didn't really talk about their previous week against Arkansas, where they kind of escaped due to Arkansas's ineptitude to hold on to the football there late in that game. Back-to-back weeks for Arkansas against Texas A&M and Ole Miss, where they are going on game-tying or game-winning drives and turning the ball over, Zach. What did I tell you? I told you that Arkansas would only be good this season if they took care of the football, and look where we're at. I mean, anything else to take away from that? Because the rest of the games in week 3 were just kind of ho-hum.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all I can take away from it, too. I mean, the college football slate hasn't really been anything up to this point. So we've had a couple of good games. Obviously, week 1 opener with Texas and Ohio State, but I think this week is when we're going to really see some things start taking off and things get really shifty. We got Oregon, Penn State this week. That's going to be intense. I know you're got to be nervous about that one. That's a whiteout too. That's a whiteout.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about traveling.
Night game too, right?
Yeah, 6:30 at the same time as the Georgia Alabama game.
Night game, whiteout. How you feeling?
Look, I mean, I'll kind of talk about it a little more when we go through our picks here, but I'm thinking that this could either be the birth of Dante Moore showing that he is a Heisman finalist and that this team is legit, or it could be he's not ready yet. Give him some time, and we might see them again for the Big Ten Championship if everything else kind of plays out. Because this is kind of, we went over this. This is kind of one of our last tough games as far as being possibly, matching up with a team with, I wouldn't say equal talent, but I would say they play their style very well, and they do their job. I don't think there's a lot of special talent compared to what we've got on our roster as far as athletic ability when it comes to Penn State. I'll just go ahead and say it, but the way they play in unison, they play together. That's going to be something we're going to have to overcome. Definitely the crowd is going to be into it, so we got to be able to take the crowd out of it early, and we have to be able to do that. And the best way is to try to get Dante more comfortable, get some short passes going, but don't be too predictable. I don't want to see you throw out a screen and have the corner jump it because they know you're trying to get him into rhythm. Don't be out here throwing slants because, he's going to lead him one time too far and it's going to slide behind him and boom, there's a guy right there. You want to make sure you don't turn the ball over in the first quarter. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for us, but we'll talk about that a little bit later because speaking of Oregon, we know what they did to Oklahoma State, just absolutely just cooked them 69-3. I mean, it was the easiest cover ever. I know I didn't take it though. I didn't choose it as one of my games, unfortunately. So that was kind of on me, but that followed by a loss to Tulsa at home. Mike Gundy done. as Oklahoma State's head coach. They let him go before
Yeah.
their game this week against Baylor. Um, I mean, a lot of people will say this was kind of disrespectful and kind of, if he's really the best coach he's ever had, like kind of a rough way to do him. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. If they had given, which it sounds to me like they gave him the opportunity to step down after last season, and instead he said, "I'll take my pay cut, and I will fire my coordinators and hire two new ones." And people, and Chad Weiberg said, "Okay, we'll see if that was the problem, if it was the coordinators." And obviously, to this point, that hasn't been the problem, and I think the problem is more of OSU fans were lied to about how good Zane Flores is. The evaluation of Zane Flores was horrible. And I do think that if Haas Haney is healthy, we're not having this conversation right now because they at least probably, at least in my estimation, would not have lost to Tulsa. I will at least they would be 2-1 right now, heading into Big 12 play with people saying, look, they got cooked by Oregon. Oregon's a really good team. Yes, it was embarrassing, but I mean, if we end up being the national champions, you can't look at that and go, oh, that's just absolutely unacceptable. That's not a fireable offense in my opinion. But losing to a team like Tulsa that you haven't lost to at home since the 50s, yeah, that's
Yeah.
you can't let that happen, and think you're gonna be waking up the next day smelling like roses. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I was pretty sure he was gonna get canned as soon as they lost to Tulsa. I mean, you can't lose to Tulsa, man. You have, like you said, you haven't lost there at home since the 50s. They're just not really. They're not supposed to be able to beat a team, a Power Four team like Oklahoma State. They're just not supposed to be able to beat you, especially given that Oklahoma State has resources. Um, Sad to see Mike Gundy go. That sucks. I'm a big fan uh, of all of his antics. In the interviews, in the press conferences, all that. But I mean, I think the writing has been on the wall for the last season, at least. I mean, you lose all of your Big 12 games. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't get canned completely after last season. I know that there were some like contract concerns with that, but I feel like you can make your way out of that somehow. Buy him out, get him out of there. He should have been out of there last season, but now, Oklahoma State's looking for a new head coach. There's some candidates' names that have been thrown around. Talking about Zach Robinson, people are saying Ben Arbuckle. What some people are saying, trying to say Nick Saban. That's not
No, that's
happening.
not.
But
GJ Kinney
what
is the front runner right now.
DJ
GJ
Kinney?
GJ
Okay,
Kinney from Texas State is the front runner right now. Is from what I'm hearing from the higher ups, that's who they want to target. They're also looking at the North Texas head coach. They're looking at him as well. I forget
okay.
what his name is, but yeah, the other two you mentioned are definitely on there. Nick Saban was the pipe dream floated out there on Twitter. I don't think anybody was realistically thinking that Saban's gonna come to Stillwater to coach a team that, you know, okay, just forget that. That's even a thing. Matt Campbell was floated around a little bit. I don't know if Matt Campbell would
That's
want
not
to do
happening.
that. What was another one that was kind of floated out there? Billy Napier was floated out there. I mean, it could happen the way that's going down. I mean, would you want that though? If you're an Oklahoma State person, would you want Billy Napier up here? I don't know if you would want that.
No.
But yeah, no, big. I mean, look, my favorite Gundyism
Urban
isn't.
Meyer.
He doesn't. I just
Oh,
don't.
Virginia breakoff.
I just don't see an SEC coach wanting to come into Stillwater and coach. I just don't happening. Just such a
I don't know. I
downgrade. Such
mean,
a
when
downgrade.
When you consider the fact that if you win the Big 12, which doesn't look very hard to do right now, you basically get a guaranteed playoff spot. It's not that unattractive if you
No,
can get
well,
to a
and
school
the other
that
thing
probably has
is,
the most,
yeah,
besides Tech, they probably have the most resources in the Big
yeah,
12.
and people forget that
So,
they act like OSU doesn't have any money, and they obviously do if they're willing to
oh,
pay
yeah.
Mike Gundy $15
Let
million
me tell you
dollars to
about Boone
leave.
Pickens.
Well, but he's dead. I mean, I don't
Let's
know
talk
if
about
I.
him,
I
man.
mean,
He's dead. It doesn't matter.
I mean, I mean, if he was alive, I don't know if we would even we might be talking about a national championship appearance if he was alive. He'd be shelling out so much
If he was
money.
alive, Nick Saban would be your coach. He would have
Yeah,
been your coach 10 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah. It would have been, yeah, amen. But But yeah, no, I mean, the thing is Mike Gundy coming out and saying the fan base is a bunch of brokies was great last year. Like I loved it, but it's just one of those things where it's like you call your fans a bunch of brokies that would rather, that can barely pay their bills and blame NIL
Yeah.
for the lack of talent on your roster when obviously the resources are there and you still had people with deep pockets backing you up until that loss against Tulsa. There was no murmurings from those people about him losing his job until that happened because it was just so fucking embarrassing. I mean, that's supposed to be, OSU is to Tulsa as OU is to OSU. Like that's little brother. Like that you're supposed to punk them every time. I mean, 1958. My grandfather was a walk-on quarterback in 1958, and they lost that game. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like I mean, was he starting? I couldn't tell you. I think he did, and I think that was the year they won the Bluegrass Bowl against Florida or something. It was. I mean, so they weren't a bad team, and I don't think Tulsa was always ass. I think that 50s was probably the last time Tulsa was good. So I mean, I don't think that's as embarrassing of a loss. When you talk about that, opposed to just the sheer fact that, like, since then, Tulsa has been on the decline since then. Other, OU and OSU have been on the incline, since then, and it's just the way it's been. So ever since the modern day of modern football, I mean, it's been nothing but OSU beating Tulsa every time they've played, it seems like. And yes, there have been close games. I'm not saying there haven't been close games, but it always ends up being OSU making one more play because they just have the Joes over those guys. They just have better Jimmies and Joes, and that's how it usually is. But now you're looking at Tulsa and you go, oh, Brennan Presley's little brother is on Tulsa. Oh, they were also playing with their backup quarterback, which is also a slap in the face. It's like it wasn't even Tulsa's starting quarterback that beat you, dude. It was their backup that had played like at some like D3 NAIA college that was getting his shot, and he ended up cooking you. Like, I mean, and the real reason is because the offense was so fucking bad. Like, my problem is how can you evaluate Zane Flores so horribly? I mean, like, he was supposed to be like the next coming of Christ for OSU quarterbacks, and they throw him out there, and it's like, good Lord, dog, you played football where? Like, are you sure it was in America? Like, I mean, it's just so bad. And when Haas Haney was named the starter, people were like, is that just because, the seniority and, he's just got, a better football IQ? Because it can't be talent. Like, there's no way, because Zane Flores is supposed to be so fucking good. And it just ended up being a lie. Like, they got hoodwinked, they got bamboozled, they got speckeldorfed, they got literally conned into thinking that this guy from Arizona, this 4-star commit that, had other offers from big name schools, chose them, and he was supposed to just be able to, people were like, oh, Haas Haney is hurt, that's fine, just put Zane Flores in, we'll be good. Yeah, I don't know. I think, I mean, it's one thing to throw back-to-back pick sixes against a team like Oregon. It's another thing to literally not be able to run the football against Tulsa. Getting cooked in the trenches by a team like Tulsa is unacceptable. I apologize to my grandfather, who is probably literally rolling in his grave with the state of his university's football program. I can't imagine he would be very happy, and I can't imagine he would be very happy about Mike Gundy getting let go this early on in a season. It also shows a level of poverty program exposure of like that's a poverty program move. Like, you can't even keep him the whole season. Like, you have to let him go because, the board of directors and the people with deep pockets are like, yeah, he's got to go. And it wasn't like he was on good terms with most of the people in the administration. It wasn't like his ego got too big. He started being less fun in press conferences, started being less, jokey and happy. And even when he was winning, like the year that they went to that conference championship game, he didn't have any good wacky, looked like, he didn't look happy. You know what I'm saying? He still looked like a curmudgeon on the sideline. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. Like, where is the Mike Gundy that's throwing his hands up as Tom Herman is literally losing his mind at midfield? Like, where is that Mike Gundy? Like, where's the aura? Like, he lost his aura. He kept the mullet, and the mullet did not correlate to the aura. The aura left, the mullet stayed, and the losses started piling up. And you can only, I mean, God, how many times is that cell phone commercial going to get played? Whoo, that's going to be rough to watch for the rest of the year. My goodness. I mean, maybe they pull it. I don't know. But I mean, that's going to be a rough watch for the rest of the year for OSU. OSU fans, woo, wouldn't. I mean, that's gonna be a knife to the heart every time. I mean, can Doug Meacham light a fire? Like, he might be able to light a fire. Like, he'll at least know the players' names. I mean, but I don't think that this is going to be a good outcome the rest of the year. They'll be lucky if they sniff another win the rest of the season. I think if you're an OSU player, pack it up, portal it up. This is the last week you literally have to play for the team, and then you can go ahead and enter your name in the transfer portal. Get out of there. It's a rebuild. OSU may not even be back to being competitive for the next decade if they don't get the right guy in here. And I don't think it's Zach Robinson because he's not going to bring any NFL guys with him. I think GJ Kinney is probably the best option right now. Ben Arbuckle would be fun, but I just don't see him leaving OU to go be a head coach at a team like Oklahoma State, even at the age of 31, which would be a tough offer for me to turn down. I'm going to be honest. If I'm 31, I'm like a head coach at a Power 5 school where, like you said, you have a legitimate chance of winning the Big 12 considering the state of other programs and the way you probably do in the background have more money and resources than were willing to be shelved out to what Mike Gundy was wanting or needing or giving off as far as, just overall likability. It would be tough for me to turn that down if I'm Ben Arbuckle, but I don't think he's interested in doing that, to be honest. But it wouldn't shock me. Like, it wouldn't shock me because the opportunity of being a head coach, I think he would treat it as a stepping stone like it used to be for head coaches. I think it still is kind of going to be that for him if he does decide to make that, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be looking at GJ Kinney being the next head coach for Oklahoma State after his season with Texas State, unless they offer him just some lucrative contract down there to stay, which I think you and I both know it's still a Texas school, but I don't think they've got that kind of money flowing into to that place.
That was a generational rant.
Yeah.
That was generational fan hatred right there. That was pure. That was from the heart. That was pure.
It was. It was. It
That
was.
we got to time that. That had to have been at least 5 minutes of just straight shitting on
Yeah,
Oklahoma State.
it probably was.
That had to have been at least 5 straight minutes of just straight shitting, not just on Mike Gundy, but on the program and history of the school as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, well, it hasn't been sunshine and rainbows for a while. I mean, it ain't 2011 anymore, okay? Justin Blackman ain't walking through that door, all right? Brandon Whedon ain't walking through that door. Kendall Hunter ain't walking through that door. Like, it's yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see the coaching search, and we'll see if Doug Meacham can do anything. I just think it'll be kind of a go through the motions, everybody sits out after this week kind of situation. So not looking good there. But what is looking good is your boy John Mateer. Dr. Shin got in there and fixed that broken thumb, and he says the rehab process starts now. How are we feeling? I know that you have a bye week this week. You got Kent State next week. You'll have Michael Hawkins starting at quarterback, and then we have Texas after that, I believe. So you have some time here. A lot of people are saying he should be good to go by October 11th, which is the Texas game. Are you pretty sure?
That's a stretch.
Yeah, you think it'll be Hawkins' time down there in Dallas, and he'll come back a week after that?
I don't know if it'll be Hawkins' time. He might play. I don't know. He might play.
I say
I
put
don't think
Kanik back there, to be honest. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
I'd like to see him run the quarterback draw. Ain't nobody bringing his tight end ass down easily. He's been so elusive. It's just been kind of the thing about it. He's found his kind of Travis Kelce, I'm always open type shit, and just makes a man miss usually after he catches the foot. So I mean, I don't know. I'm just messing. But what seriously? What you think? You think it's post Texas heel time just for the long run here?
I mean, I think it's a morning of October 11th decision.
Yeah.
If he plays or not.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think if he has if they say he can play, I think he will play, right? Like, I think if they say you will probably be 50%, I think he will play. So I don't know. Maybe it's tough because if he truly is medically cleared, but he's not 100%, do we see a two quarterback system where we can have, if we have something where we might, need the quarterback to break free and maybe take a hit, do we let that be Michael Hawkins? Do we ensure that we have, major pass protection if John Mateer's in the game. I think it's um man, I don't know. I think it's set up in a weird way because what if Michael Hawkins pops off against Kent State? And I know it's Kent State, but I mean, what if he just goes crazy against Kent State and looks like, one of the best quarterbacks in the country? I think that means that he has to have some sort of shot against Texas. And even if John Mateer might be able to play, I think they might just see what they have with Hawkins and worst case scenario, put John Mateer in if he starts getting his ass beat by Texas. But I think it's an interesting, scenario, and I think that Ben Arbuckle is probably the offensive coordinator that would explore, Michael Hawkins getting a little bit more playing time. I mean, maybe it's a situation like the Giants have been doing with Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart, but obviously Jackson Dart just won the starting job. But maybe we get like a little preview of, you know, Hawkins, and maybe Hawkins starts against Texas, and then we get a couple snaps with John Mateer. I don't I don't know. I think he's definitely our starter for South Carolina, Mateer. That is, no matter what happens
Yeah,
with Hawkins. But I think I could see a situation where he might not be 100%. He might be 75%. October 11th,
yeah,
and I could see them saying we're comfortable with Hawkins at least until we're down 2 scores.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I could
So
see that. I mean,
I think
well,
you give Hawkins the shot if Mateer is not
yeah.
100%.
Well, and the other thing for me it looks like as long as you're not, Sam Houston State, you're gonna have a chance at beating Texas.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know. They
mean,
might be they might be better than we think, and they obviously haven't looked the best. They haven't looked like their preseason rank,
yeah,
but
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know. The thing is Michael Hawkins could come out against Kent State and hand the ball off 45 times, and you guys might still win by 3 touchdowns, and he might only throw,
and we
15
should.
passes. So I don't know how you would feel going into the Texas game from that, but no, I think that even if they're like, look, he's 50%, but we still want to sit him just because we think in the long run we're gonna need him, later on in the year to make sure he's, ready to go. Because I'm gonna be honest, Zach, it doesn't take much to re-break that thing. You know what I'm saying? Or re-aggravate. It's not gonna take much. It's a thumb, man.
Yeah.
It's not like a knee. It's not like an
I
elbow.
mean, the
Like
thing is,
it's
it's
a
going to be
phalange,
wrapped. It's going
man.
to
It's
probably
a phalange.
I mean, it's probably going to be wrapped. It's probably going to affect his throwing. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm if I'm an OU fan, I'm
it's
fine.
tough.
I'm fine with not seeing him in Dallas. I'm fine with that, even if it means a loss.
I mean,
I am
I'm
fine with
okay if
not
we
seeing it.
lose. If he has a true risk of getting like re-injured and it's not like he's not cleared to play really, then yeah, I'm comfortable taking a loss to Texas to
But
preserve
look,
John
e-
Mateer for the rest of the season.
yeah,
Um, but I think, I think he's going to play, and I think he's going to play really carefully.
I think
I
he's
think
gonna
that's going to
suit
be the
up. I think he's gonna be there in pads. I think he could even hand the ball off with the other hand if they wanted to, like you said, give the illusion that maybe they start him and he just comes out and he hands the ball off 2 times, and then here comes Hawkins on 3rd and 6 to take over. Maybe they do that. I don't know. I think he suits up. I just don't know how much run he's gonna get. And I think that again, you look at the timetable for an injury like this healing, 13 to 18 days. It'll be exactly 13 days or something like that, or what exactly 18 days on the 11th, I think is what they said, something like that. Um,
yeah, it's
yeah,
close. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
the 11th
yeah,
is 15 days from now.
yeah. The surgery happened what 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, so it was yeah. So it's in that range, but I think that if you had to choose between, he could kind of be healthy, but if he re-aggravates it, like it could be like not coming back the rest of the year or out again for another 3 or 4 weeks, or start Michael, save him, and he's ready for the week right after the Red River shootout. Like I think if you do that, I really don't see any animosity from the fan base, at least. You know what I'm saying? I don't think the fans are gonna bitch even
Yeah.
if you lose,
Well,
because then
I
they can
think
hang their hat on, we didn't have our starter. So,
Well, I think more importantly, I think that that's also what the college football playoff committee would hang their hat on if it's an 11-1 Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You know, going into the conference championships. I think that if OU's 11-1 and the one loss is when John Mateer didn't play against Texas, who still has one of the better defenses in the country, then yeah, I think that that is justification to put OU top 4, right?
Yeah.
But if they
Like,
get their ass beat, even if Michael Hopkins plays, and I mean, like it's like a
what
you
if they're
know
10-2?
like it
What if
has
like what
been
if
2
they're
out of the last 3
yeah?
years.
What if they end up being
I mean,
10-2?
a 10-2 OU gets in the playoff too.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
Like
that's. I think that should matter more, in my opinion, than going to like the SEC title game. Is that crazy for me to say? Like,
yeah, no, I
I
think
mean,
just securing a playoff spot for sure.
yeah,
Like you just need to
yeah,
secure yourself a playoff spot. If you're 10-2 in the SEC, you're going to the playoffs.
okay, yeah. I
So
mean, even
I
nine and
think that
three,
that is
maybe.
ultimately the decision. Even 9-3, maybe, especially if one of those three is with your starter out against
Yeah,
Texas, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I think that if they think about this logically, then yeah, sure, that's probably the move. You just be safe.
Yeah,
You're confident in your team. You go 11-1. You go 10-2. You're that confident. But then it's also like it's Texas,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
and
hard. It's
then that's
definitely a hard
and
decision.
and it's hard to it's and I know you get it, but it's hard to explain it. If you're not
Yeah,
in that rivalry, if you're not a fan of one of those teams, right? It's like Ohio State and Michigan. They almost want to play in that game more than they want to play in a national championship. And it's just true. And I actually watched a video just actually 2 weeks ago of John Mateer playing golf with this pro golfer. Obviously I just want to watch John Mateer content anytime I can. And he was asking him like, what game are you most excited for? And John Mateer was like, Texas. So I think that if he can play, he's going to fight for himself to
yeah.
play. I think it's going to have to be a coach's decision
No, I agree
if they
with
want to
that.
play it safe.
I agree with that because I think
And I don't know,
even
I'm on the fence about it because I really want to beat Texas, man.
yeah,
I really want to beat Texas, especially with that preseason #1, man. I really want to beat Texas. Um, but I don't want John Mateer to be hurt the rest of the season.
yeah, exactly. I think yeah, it's yeah, it's
I want the national championship. I've
yeah.
beaten Texas enough in my
Yeah,
life.
see that's yeah, and that's I think what I would believe would be the mindset of the coaching staff if it came down. And I think John would understand that, as disappointed as he would be. I don't think he would. I don't think he would.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it sucks, but I think that if you have a chance to be back on the top, I think you would rather have that chance than to just be like, yeah, I was a Red River Shootout legend, which happens. I mean, it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think you would rather hang your hat on hoisting that gold trophy at the end, opposed to the golden hat. All right, let's
Yeah.
let's get into this. Contenders. Let's just go straight into this, Zach. Give me your top 5 NFL teams right now, no particular order. Top 5 contending teams right now.
Shit. No particular order. I gotta go Bills, Ravens, Chargers, um, Packers.
Wait, who? What'd you just say?
So Bills, Ravens,
Yeah,
Chargers,
yeah.
Packers,
Packers. Okay.
Lions. I'm gonna
Lions.
do it. I'm
Yeah,
gonna say Lions. I don't think the Chiefs are there this year.
yeah. All right. Well,
And I don't know, man, because it's
yeah,
Patrick Mahomes, and like
yeah.
it's hard to say. Like
It's
if he's in
yeah.
the playoff game, he might win the playoff game because he's Patrick Mahomes, and he might just win 4 playoff games because he's Patrick Mahomes. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm here. I'll hedge for you. I think Bills are there. I still think the Ravens are in the discussion. Um, I think that the Lions should be, even after their poor performance early on. I think that they've kind of found their footing.
Yeah, they beat the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, again, yeah, that's big. That's big. Man, I want to say San Francisco because they've been able to win
No.
without Purdy, but I just don't think that their defense is as good as it's been in quite some time. Um, So I can't really give the nod to them. You know what? I'm gonna go wild card here. I like the Seahawks a lot right now.
What the fuck?
I think Sam Darnold is balling. My boy is balling. Jackson
No, you're
Smith
falling victim,
Ninjigba is
man.
balling.
It's the same as saying you think the Colts are contenders. They're not. They're not.
I can't buy
Okay.
the Colts stock just yet. But my fifth team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look, I mean, there's something about it, man.
Okay.
You're squeaking it out against some teams that you probably should have been in full control on. I do think they let the Jets back into that game this last week, with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 3 game-winning drives.
Yeah, it shows that they've got the balls to go down and win the game, and they need to. But it hasn't been against a really good team this week against the Eagles. They play the Eagles this week. That's gonna be a big one, baby. That'll kind of let me know if they can stay in my top 5 here. Look, I get your point about the Seahawks, but right now I just think they're really hot right now. I might be falling victim.
And the defense is really good.
Yeah, I'm
just not confident in Sam Darnold. I don't think they've shown anything against a quality opponent yet.
No, I'm not saying they have either, but they're hot.
Flawed the Cardinals, but
let me just try to just kind of sway you here for just a second, because I think you need to understand that right now this Seahawks team has it lined up for them to really kind of you know what I lied. The Bucks play the Seahawks this week, so that'll kind of be my determining factor. Yeah, Buccaneers Seahawks 10-5.
Seahawks played yesterday.
I know, but so their next game is against the Bucks. Like they're off, and then on October 5th, their next game is the. So we'll kind of.
I know for a fact the Bucks play the Eagles tomorrow.
Yeah, but they've got.
I'm tuning in. That's the Sooner Bowl.
But 3 out of their next 4 after that are against teams I think they should easily take care of: Jags, Texans, Cardinals, and then the other team is the Commanders, which I could see them losing because it's on the road. And I think Jaden Daniels will be back by November 2nd, so I think that'll be a factor as well. But then they've got the Rams, Titans, Vikings, Falcons, Colts, Rams, Panthers, 49ers. I don't know. I mean, it looks like they look like a very strong playoff team to me. And I mean,
favorable schedule.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Their schedule sets them up to be that, so that's why I think that they will kind of land into that contender spot, because I think they also might have some sort of home field advantage at some point in the playoffs as well, which I think will help them like it normally does. But I think, like I said, these 2 weeks for those two teams in my top 5 are big. This week for the Bucks is big for me, and then on the 5th will be an even bigger, a bigger thing, because it could be an undefeated Bucks team against the Seahawks, or it could be a clash of what I think are 2 pretty decent teams, and we'll see which one a little bit more better, as they say, and then we'll reconvene next week to see how I feel about my top 5. But I feel you about the Kansas City Chiefs too. It was hard for me not to put them in there just because, like you said, Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, those are our contenders right now. Those are the 10 you need to look out for, folks. Those are the 10 teams. Some similarities in our first 3 at least. But all good choices. I think right now we're so early; it's wide open right now. As the season goes on, that list is going to be a little bit more apparent. Oh. Yeah, it'll flourish.
Oh, fuck. Eagles.
Yeah, and they're falling off. We're brain dead. Eagles should probably be on there. I think I would put them. Give me the Eagles and then the Bucks 5. I think that's probably better. Yeah, we're brain dead. Why did we forget that? Just because and they looked so dead in the water against the Rams, and then they came back and won that game. Blocked that field goal to seal it. Returned the big boy, rumbling, stumbling, bumbling. It was a fun ending to that game for Jalen Hurts and company. Which brings us to the saddest part of the day. It is, well, at least for me. You actually didn't do too bad. It's the sportsbook, baby.
Very mid.
We are back, and it's a problem that we're back, because it did not go well for us overall. If you combine them both, it's not pretty. Zach got to save face a little bit, but as far as I go, I've got egg all over it. I got beat like a whole entire carton of eggs. Didn't even have a chance. 0-6 for your boy over here. I apologize. Don't follow my advice. Zach, you had Oklahoma minus the 23.5 against Temple. Bada bing, bada boom. Got that one done. A 39-point win. UTEP plus 40.5 against the vaunted Texas Longhorns. They did it. 17-point win for the Horns. They hung in there. Malachi Nelson threw for more yards than Arch Manning, baby. South Florida plus 17.5. We both got cooked on this one. It was an ugly win for Miami as they smoked them. Ole Miss minus 6.5 against Arkansas. Ooh, it was so close. They only won by 6. They missed you by a point there. That's a bad beat. That's on SVP's bad beats at the end of the day for you Arkansas spreaders. Notre Dame minus 6.5 against Texas A&M. Not so fast, my friend. The Aggies win by a point. Big win for the boys down in College Station. LSU minus 7 against Florida. You got it. A 10-point win over the hapless Gators. And Zach ends up going 3-3. I end up getting cooked, baby.
Remember what we were saying about their offensive line?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. It came to fruition. Clemson minus 2.5 against Georgia Tech. Color me shocked. They lose straight up to the Yellow Jackets, and it was bad. 24-21 Georgia Tech. Oregon minus 27.5 against Northwestern. You gotta give me this one, right, boys? No, they couldn't do it, and they only win by 20. Bad showing and another bad beat as Northwestern scores late. I took South Florida plus the 17.5. Both got cooked on that one. Goodbye, adios. I had the Woo Pig Suey money line, and you fumble on the game-winning drive, and it was a win for Ole Miss by 6. Wyoming plus the 23.5 against Utah. I really believed, and it just didn't happen. 31-6. A 25-point loss. Missed that one by 2.5. Washington State money line. I didn't know how bad Washington State was. They're horrible. Washington State is so bad, it should be a crime. Good, maybe not as bad as Oklahoma State, but they're bad. They're not great, and it really, really stunk for me as the Washington State Cougars get absolutely shellacked. I'm talking about destroyed by North Texas, 59-10. What happened? What happened? I can see why Oklahoma State's eyeing North Texas as head coach as they put up the points. So I lose all mine. Zach is able to, let's see, you got 10 here. We've got 30, that's 40 there. There's 50. You saved half your money and you won half your games. Can't really be mad about that. So 50 for him. I got to dip right in the bucket here and go a little bit deeper into my pocket and dole out another crisp Benjamin Franklin to get myself going here. Zach, what have you got as your first out of your 6 games for this week?
I gotta pull up all these games.
Pull them up, baby. We're pulling them up.
I'm gonna stay in the top 20. I'm gonna stay in the top 25 here. I'm not gonna venture out.
Okay.
Let's go. We'll start with Notre Dame, Arkansas.
Okay.
That's tomorrow. That's at Arkansas. The spread is 4.5. Notre Dame. I'm taking them to cover that.
Okay.
That's insane. So I have $50.
Yep, yeah.
And I'm
50,
doing 5 or 6 bet.
We're doing 6. We're gonna continue to do.
All right. That's cool. Let me throw a $5 on. No, let me throw a $10 on that. That's a short thing.
$10 on the Irish.
Yep. Yes, sir.
$10 on the Irish. Is that a night game or is that a day game? Day game.
That's noon.
Is that? Ooh. I still can. Where is it? Hello. There it is. Notre Dame minus 1.5. A tenner on it, baby. All right. Let me get mine going here. My first game, boy, I couldn't be happier about this one. Give me USC -7 against Illinois. Illinois, hello, welcome to Suckville. I've got a fat 20 on that one. I'm putting 20 on it. I'm pretty confident in them getting it done against Fighting Lincoln Riley's. Your second game, sir.
I'm going to take Ohio State to cover the 8.5 against Washington.
Ohio State minus 8.5 against Washington. Your money you're putting on that one is what?
10.
10. He's confident in the Buckeyes. I like it. 10 on that one as well. My second game, we're heading down to the Grove, baby. It's LSU at Ole Miss. Give me the Tigers. Give me the money line on the Tigers. And I'm putting 20 on that too. Look, I like it. Backup quarterback. I mean, tough draw. Big game. Brian Kelly. Can we get a big game Brian Kelly positive? I think so. This is the week.
I think so.
Your third game, sir.
I'm going to take that same game, and I'm taking LSU to cover.
LSU to cover, well, the 1.5. What do we got money-wise on that? We got $30 left, and you got 4 games. We're doing 15 down the...
We throw 5 on that.
5 on that? All right, we're not feeling too confident in big game Brian Kelly. I'm okay with that. I can live with that.
No, because one of the players on LSU is fucking Lane Kiffin's daughter, so...
Yeah, you got to factor that in there. Look, I'm going to play it...
You got to factor that in. You have to factor that into the variables in your head.
Yeah, look...
I think that's probably factored into the spread here, given that Ole Miss is somehow favored.
Look, man, I'm playing it safe here. I'm taking Baylor minus the 21 against Oklahoma State. Easiest bet of my life. Baylor covers the spread on the road in Stillwater tomorrow. My mother will be in attendance. Good luck to you, mommy. It's gonna be a rough watch for you. Your fourth game.
Yeah, I'm going down to Mississippi State. I'm going to take Tennessee to cover the 7.5 there. Vols are good. Saw what they did with Georgia. Should have won that game. I think they're going to shalom Mississippi State.
Tennessee minus the 7.5. Confidence meter is
$15.
15 on that one. You got $10 left. You got 5 on your last 2. Okay, so we might go on some stretches here. You might be reaching on a couple. My fourth game.
Just something that I'm not as confident in.
You know what? My fourth game, we're going with the Red Hawks of Miami of Ohio to cover the 20.5 against Lindenwood. Oh, the Lindenwood Lions getting smacked. I saw Miami of Ohio play. I like their quarterback. I like the way they play football. Miami of Ohio's quarterback is the former Baylor quarterback, Mr. Finn. Yeah, Finn. And he played really well last week. And Lindenwood is bad. So they're really bad. So give me a tenner on Miami of Ohio minus the 20.5 against Lindenwood. Your fifth game, sir.
We're going to Happy Valley.
Oh, we're going to the game of the night. It's Penn State.
We're going to
Oregon.
I'm gonna say game of the year.
Oh, game of the year, boy.
I'm gonna say game of the year.
Is it lock of the year? Is it you going ahead and you say lock of the year?
I'm not going to say lock of the year because I'm not confident in this one at all. I'm going to say this is the game of the year because I think it's going to be close as shit. But I'll tell you what. It's a walk-off touchdown, and they're winning that bitch. They're covering that 3.5. fiver.
On who? Who's covering?
Penn State.
Penn State minus the 3.5 at home, getting the job
they're
done.
winning that game. The noise is going to be too much for Dante Moore. He might have been in some sticky situations before. He's never been in the whiteout at 6:30 p.m. on primetime television when they're doing Mo Bamba. All right. He's about to, the whole stadium pulse, handshaking, it's happening. That's what he will be seeing for defenses.
Yeah, wild. You're wild for that. Look, I'm gonna go ahead here. My fifth game, I'm gonna go with Georgia minus the 2.5 against Alabama. I just don't believe in Alabama this year. I think on the road against a team like Georgia, Georgia's not playing superb football, but they're playing good enough to beat Alabama by more than 3 points. So give me $20 on that one. UGA minus 2.5. Your last game, sir.
I'm going to take BYU to cover the 6.5 against Colorado.
Ooh, a late night special. It's BYU minus 6.5.
Colorado.
A crisp Abraham Lincoln on that one. And right now, 6 picks parlay here with 50 on it. We're looking at $2.4 thousand. Yeah, that'd be a big win for you. I like that. I like that for you. That's a good one, right? $2,400 for.
I think I got some good picks.
I think that's a solid slip. And obviously my last game, I'm going Oregon money line. We're here to change the course of history. We are here to prove. We are here to play. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. What do I have to lose, folks? I went 0-6. I can only go up from here. We are looking at a very...
Do not take advice from this man.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, if you put this slip in, you are cooked already. I will tell you that. But that I think is actually kind of my most risky pick, to be honest. That and maybe LSU money line if you really want to think that Ole Miss is legit. But I think you look at the other games I picked. I mean, I like USC over Illinois by 7, Baylor to cover against a hapless Oklahoma State. I mean, if you haven't watched DeCorian Finn throw the rock for the Red Hawks, I don't know. I mean, they really good numbers last week. I liked what I saw. I'm gonna say liked what I saw. But that's it. Hold
on.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Chandler Morris is hurt. Chandler Morris is hurt.
He's
Virginia
down.
Might have snuck out of here with one, but he looks hurt. He is, I mean, he's still playing, but he looks hurt. He is holding that thumb. He hurt his thumb. He's looking down at it.
Is it a Mateer? Did he pull a Mateer?
I think he did. He looked to the sideline. They did one
Oh,
of these.
no.
He was asking for a sub, and every time he's handing the ball off left hand every time, even if the play's going right, and he's keeping that thumb tucked in. He's cooked.
Yeah, it's not that. That's not good. But just to kind of let people know what I'm talking about, Miami of Ohio lost to UNLV last week, 38-41, and in that loss, I'm just gonna and yes, the Red Hawks are 0-3, but they can get their first win against Lindenwood. But against this vaunted UNLV team, who is undefeated, by the way, he put up really good numbers, and I was really impressed with the way he played football. Listen to this line here: 7 of 12, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He did get hurt halfway through. Henry Hessen came in and went 8 of 17, 134 yards and a touchdown himself. So hopefully a whole game from him will be enough for the Lindenwood Lions to lose that one by 20.5 or more. So I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. We're just looking for some offense against a really bad team. Zach, the floor is yours, sir. I've got the graphic right here. This is Zach's top 25 right now. It's up on the screen. He can't see it, but you can, and that's what matters. Zach, kind of walk us through this and just kind of tell us some justifications here for some teams being where they're at here. We see you have Miami at number 2 here. We see OU at number 4. We've got a team like Auburn who currently not ranked, still ranked in your top 25 at 22. Um, go ahead and just kind of break it down for us real quick.
Yeah, I mean, let's start at the bottom, right? South Florida, still have them in there. USF is still one of the better group of 5 teams. Obviously, huge win over Boise State. They lost to number, in my opinion, number 2 Miami. So I don't, even if they got absolutely dogged in that game, I don't think that's a reason for them to drop out of the top 25. I still think that they have enough to be in the top 25 resume wise. Number 24, I got TCU. They've looked really good to me. Their offense is really explosive. Defense could use some work, but they're 4-0, and they have put up some huge numbers on the offensive side. So I like what they're doing right over there. So I have them at number 24 until I can see what that defense can do against a more quality opponent. I got Vanderbilt at number 23. Um, they are just looking good. They're winning their games. Not really a tough schedule as of yet, but they haven't really messed up at all. And I think that they are going to build on some of the momentum they had last year. Number 22, I kept Auburn there. Given the officiating concerns, given the fact that they still only lost by 7 in that game, despite John Mateer being even though John Mateer was hurt for majority of that game, I think Auburn showed that they are at least a competitive SEC team, and I thought they looked pretty good. Number 21, USC. I don't want to say anything good about them, so I'm just going to move on. Number 20 is Georgia Tech. They get the win over Clemson. Clemson obviously drops out of the rankings here. They have to. I think, in my opinion, once you actually look at some of the resumes on, that they've put together, the resume they've put together is just dog shit, actually. I mean, they've lost to LSU. They've lost to Georgia Tech. It's just not a good look whatsoever. You can't be losing to Georgia Tech if you're Clemson. So I have Georgia Tech here just because of the fact that they have quality wins. Being undefeated, they have a victory against Clemson. I think that deserves a top 20 rank. I have Michigan at number 19 just because they lose to OU, but I think they haven't looked the best against good competition, but they also have done their job and have continued to win. So I think number 19 is justified. Number 18, I'm getting some hate here. I got Tennessee at number 18. They should have won against Georgia. I agree, but they didn't. And I have too many teams that have, I don't know about better losses, but I like in total what I've seen from those teams a little bit more. And we're going to get onto that when we get to number 15, which people are not going to like that I have them above Tennessee. But obviously, they take Georgia, who is my number 3 team, to overtime. They do that at home. It's a tough stadium to play in. Georgia got out of there with a win. I know it's a really good loss. It's a really good loss, but it's a loss. And it was in their, I think the game was in their favor. In fact, I think they were favored in that game. So um, I don't think it's, the best loss of the season. I think that belongs to Texas, but we'll get onto that in a second. Number 17, Missouri. I don't like that I have them here, but they're taking care of business. They're undefeated. They have that win over South Carolina, so I have to have them here. Texas A&M. I have them at number 16. They've looked really good to me outside of that Notre Dame game, which was a tough game on the road to open the season. So I'm not going to hold that one too much against them, especially if they continue to show that they can dominate, going further into their SEC schedule. Number 15 is Alabama. They have a loss to Florida State. I thought Florida State looked really, really good up to this point, and it has looked really good up to this point in the year. I think last week I had them at number 3. I moved them to number 6 just because of some of the things that other teams did. Not really anything against Florida State, but now that we're watching this Virginia game, I think that's completely justified. In fact, I think Florida State might end up being lower after this next week of games come through, just because even if they win this game, the fact that Virginia's been able to pour 21 on them so far. In fact, I think they just got 28. I can't remember. visually remember Chandler Morris running the ball in for a touchdown a couple minutes ago. Um, so yeah, I have them there. They lost to that Florida State team. I think that Florida State's resume is going to be greatly affected by this Virginia game. So maybe that Alabama ranking actually should be revisited. Which I mean, that's why we do it week by week, right? You know, we have next week we'll get the results of this week. We'll count that. We'll adjust our rankings for that. This is obviously only through 4 weeks. Notre Dame, they've only lost to Miami. Good win over Texas A&M. I have them at number 14. Number 13 is Iowa State. They are undefeated. They have 2 rivalry wins. And yeah, they're well coached, solid team. I don't think they're contenders necessarily in terms of like playoffs, but I think they're good enough to be, number 13, just outside of that kind of talented range. Number 12, I got Ole Miss. We talked about them already. They're undefeated. They have good wins against Kentucky and Arkansas. And then they beat the fuck out of Tulane. So they're doing what they're supposed to do. So I'm number 12. I'm not super impressed, but we'll see what happens, against LSU. Number 11, I got Texas Tech. They have looked pretty decent in the 12, and they are undefeated. They won against Utah 34-10, which Utah is supposedly supposed to be a good team. I thought they were, but they obviously are not after this game. So who knows how much that win actually matters, but so far, according to resume, I think Texas Tech belongs at least number 11. I almost put them number 10 above Texas. I just couldn't justify doing it because Texas obviously loses by a touchdown to Ohio State, and they have been the only team that has held Ohio State to this, that level of production. They obviously have one of the best defenses in the country, and just because Arch Manning hasn't lived up to, hasn't been, um, up to par, doesn't necessarily mean that still isn't one of the best teams in the country. Um, and I think this team can succeed in spite of Arch Manning's. So I have him at number 10, and I think that if Arch gets it together, which it looks like he did against Sam Houston State, but then it's like it's Sam Houston State, so we don't really know. Um, but if he does get it together, I think this team's extremely dangerous. And if their only loss is to Ohio State, especially if they can get away with not having to play John Mateer in the Red River rivalry, I mean, I think that Texas is prime spot and controls their destiny from here on out, depending on John Mateer. Actually, Steven Shen kind of controls Texas's destiny right now. Indiana, I keep them in my top 10. They beat the fuck out of Illinois. So yeah, 63-10, kind of crazy. I'm just not completely sold on them being better than the teams I have in my top 8. Number 8 is Penn State for me, winning their games by an average of 40 points, if you were aware. They have a cupcake schedule, which is why they have won their games by an average of 40 points. They play Oregon this Saturday. We're going to see what happens. It's obviously going to be in Penn State's favor. They are favored because it's in Happy Valley. It's a whiteout at night, so it's obviously going to be really tough for Oregon to communicate. So we'll see what happens with that. Number 7, I got LSU. They've beaten Clemson. They've beaten Florida. They've looked pretty good doing it, but I don't necessarily think when I go back and I look at this, I'm like, who do I take? Because initially I do my rankings purely based on resume. Then I look and I take those teams where the resumes are iffy, right? Like you look at OU's resume and LSU's resume, and you're like, eh, pretty much the same. And then I think, who do I take in a game? So I have LSU at number 7 because I think the 6 teams above them would beat them in a head-to-head matchup on a neutral field. And I think that's mostly where my rankings come from. I think I'd throw resume in there a little bit considering we have 4 weeks of it. Florida State number 6. Obviously, they have that win against Alabama. They've looked really good so far. They do not look good right now against Virginia, currently down 21-28 with 3 minutes and 45 seconds left in the third quarter. Not a good look. Virginia, obviously not bad. If they get this win, they're going to be ranked in probably the top 20, maybe top 20. So look for them to get that win. Florida State's going to move down in all of the polls next week, whether they get this win or not, just purely because of what the score is right now. Number 5, I got Oregon. I think this is probably the team that passes the eye test the most of any team in the country. They beat the shit out of Oklahoma State 69-3, and they've continued to just dominate everyone they've played. So I think Oregon is probably my eye test. I think they have looked the best, but they obviously haven't played the best competition so far. All right, number 4, I have OU. I think OU has proven themselves to be one of the best defenses in the country. I think they've proven that John Mateer can produce one of the best offenses in the country. It didn't look that way against Auburn. Now that we know John Mateer was hurt, I think that changes the viewpoint on that offensive performance a lot. Obviously, the run game is a problem. The run game has been a problem. And I think that it sucks that we lost some key guys back there, and it sucks that Jaden Ott really hasn't seen a lot of the field. I don't know what's going on there. I guess he hasn't looked very good in practice. I don't know. But the run game is just not up to par. But the passing game has looked really, really good. So I think that OU is justified at number 4. Everyone knows defense wins championships, and I think they have the best defense in the country, hands down. I think defense is better than Ohio State's defense. I think David Stone and Jane Jackson are two of the best defensive tackles in the country. I think Jane Jackson is the best defensive tackle in the country, and I think David Stone might be the second best defensive tackle in the country. Just based on their pure numbers so far, they killed Jackson Arnold. He got sacked 10 times. Let me repeat that. They sacked Jackson Arnold 10 times. One more time for anyone that didn't catch it. The OU record, and OU has been a football team since the 1800s. The OU record is 9 sacks. We got 10 sacks in an SEC game against Auburn, against a Power 5 Division 1, Power 4, my bad, Division 1 SEC quarterback and offensive line. OU got 10 sacks. I don't care who they played. 10 sacks is insane, especially against that level of competition. I think that defensive line is the best in the country, and I think that defense overall is the best in the country, carried by that line. Number 3, I have Georgia. It's Georgia. They beat Tennessee in Knoxville. I don't see any other way to put it. Even though that was an overtime game, and Tennessee probably should have won that game. Georgia had plenty of opportunities to win that game too, but they did it. They won that game. They've looked good so far this year. I have them number 3. I think a lot of that has to do with how much faith I have in Kirby Smart and just his ability to coach himself out of any situation. Number 2, Miami. They've looked really good, and I mean really good. They beat Notre Dame. I think that's probably the second best victory in the country. They've beaten Florida, which obviously hasn't looked the best. They beat South Florida, which looked really good at the time, and they beat the fuck out of South Florida at that. Miami has to be in that top contender conversation. Their defense is amazing. Their offense, led by Carson Beck, has looked miles ahead of what it was. And I mean this. It looks better than what it did under Cam Ward. And I think Carson Beck is playing himself into the first round of the NFL draft next year, just based on how well he's been at Miami. So I'm big on Miami. I was pretty big on them in the preseason. I was bigger on Clemson, and that was a mistake. Miami was probably the better team. And I think they've obviously proven that they're the better team. Number 1, I don't think I have to say it. It's Ohio State. I don't think there's a single poll that Ohio State's not number 1 in. So it's undisputed in my opinion. They beat Texas week 1, then number 1 in the country, preseason number 1. And I think that the score of that game tells me that Texas win is as good as people think it is. I am cautious about the Texas not looking as good as they should. When they did hold Ohio State to 14 points, and they scored 7 of their own. So I think that win against Texas is a lot better than people think, because no one else has been able to do that to Ohio State, and they were able to beat Texas in week 1. Yeah, Julian Sands looked really good. Jeremiah Smith is probably the Heisman frontrunner now that John Mateer has been, ruled out for Kent State and maybe even Texas. So yeah, that's my top 25. I think there are some surprises in there. I didn't really look at the AP poll, so I don't know what I have that is left off. I know Auburn apparently wasn't on the AP poll, so yeah, Illinois. I think Clemson's still number 25.
Yeah, they're
something
still
like that.
ranked here. I'll tell you. So yeah, Illinois is number 23. Um, Clemson is actually not ranked. Clemson not ranked.
Okay, good.
Um, not even not even getting votes. Oh, where are they at? That can't be right because saying dropped from rank. But that could have been from last week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
they dropped them off last week. So yeah, they're already off. So they've already been off. So that's correct. You've got them gone. Illinois, I think, is the big one here. Everybody else that you listed is on here. BYU on your thing.
Okay, so
BYU
the
is
teams that I
top
have on here that
25.
aren't
Yeah,
on the AP poll is
yeah,
Auburn and South Florida are the two teams that
yeah.
aren't on the AP poll that I
And
have. Okay.
instead the AP's got Illinois and BYU. So those are the two big differences. Obviously Arizona State not on here, UCF not on here, and then dropping out for AP, Auburn, and Utah for the. So yeah, as far as teams go, you're only really missing two, and you've replaced them with teams that I would argue deserve to be there over. I mean, BYU could make an argument for, I guess, if you wanted to, argue South Florida BYU, I could handle that. I think that's something I would probably contest if I could, but I just think South Florida's defense is better. So I think that's kind of where
Oh shit.
what.
Oh, you got a first place vote?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they got a first place vote, baby. It's starting to
Let's
sink in.
go.
Starting to sink in. Um
I mean, we'll see where it goes. There's a big drop off in points between them and
yeah.
Oregon at 6 and
Yeah.
6. Sorry.
But any final thoughts before we get out of here as we head into week 5 here? You obviously you don't have a game, so are you going to be locked into the 6:30 window?
Yeah, I mean, I'm locked in. I'm locked into the Ryder Cup tomorrow morning. Then I'm, locking into college football. Um, it's gonna be a great sports weekend. There's a lot of stuff going on. I have been locked in. The Ryder Cup's gonna be, taking up my mornings, and then, college football takes up, late morning, and then the rest of the day, obviously, up until 2 a.m. And then, we get Ryder Cup in the morning on Sunday, followed by that noon kickoff. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think I mean the 11 o'clock games that you're going to be missing. I mean, doesn't the headliner seems to be USC Illinois, so you're not going to be missing
Oh, I'm
much.
watching those games.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't know if you're gonna be locked in. You have the multi.
Oh
Because
yeah,
because
no, I'll
because
have
yeah,
I'll
okay,
have the
okay,
multi going in the living room. Then I'll have probably 3 different games going in
yeah.
here.
Because in my opinion, it looks like to me that this is gonna be a 2:30 to the rest of the day heavy window, because the big 2:30 game is
Yeah,
LSU and Ole Miss, and then you have Auburn and Texas A&M kicking off at that time, and then after that you'll have you know, Tennessee and Mississippi State at 3:15. Not a huge game, but still, one to keep an eye out on. And then, of course, the 6:30 window, you have Oregon, Penn State, Alabama, Georgia, um, and then the late night special, your BYU Colorado game, your last game, Boulder. So I mean, a decent slate. I think from 2:30 to 8 o'clock, we'll be content with what we're seeing on our screens.
yeah, I think so. I think so. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna watch my Cowboys get their ass beat by Micah Parsons. I can't wait. I want it to happen. Um, so yeah,
All right. Well, for us here at the
let's go
Stoner
Duck.
Sports Radio podcast, keep stick on the ice, and you know what they say. Good night, America. I can't wave my flag because it's got. There you go. Good night, America. Good night, Canada.
Ah.
That's right. Good night, Canada. You fucks. You.